All right, Ben, bogey-free 64, if we can get some comments on your round.
Yeah, I made a lot of putts, a lot of really long putts. I think I just heard I gained like over 5 on the greens, which is pretty hard to do. So it was a great day with the flat stick. Hit it pretty solid as well. A couple not so great shots, but I felt like I did a good job managing the course and leaving it in the right spots when I had some misses, except for number 9. That was a great up and down. But no, it was a fun day. Enjoyed playing with Ludwig. He swings it so nice. It's inspiring to see him hit some shots and see him come down. I mean, he plays a different game than I do, and it's kind of fun to watch. But nonetheless, was able to beat the course pretty well today, and felt like I did a good job.
Yeah, it's your 4th Travelers. You've improved each year. What are you learning about this golf course?
Yeah, I think you kind of said it. I've just learned a lot from my experience. I didn't really play a whole lot of holes leading into this event. I just played the Pro-Am yesterday, hit a couple balls on the range on Tuesday. Really didn't try to overwork just coming off a major, and I feel like this is a course that, I have some familiarity with, and that kind of makes it easier for me on some of these weeks where I can come in a little bit more rested. Felt like I felt really good going in the round, body-wise and everything, and just leaned on kind of my past performance to help me. And it's not like there was anything too new about the course. A few more trees on one hole, but otherwise the greens are in great shape. I felt like I didn't have to do a ton of preparation like a normal week or like a major week.
And what's it like on days like that when you're filling it up at that rate?
Yeah, I just feel like you just keep trusting your reads, and you don't even think about your stroke really at all. I wasn't thinking mechanically about anything. It was just kind of pick your line, and I felt really comfortable with the speed and just keep hitting good putts. I had a couple not so great putts that left me like some 5 or 6 footers, but I made those, and so yeah, I feel like everyone it's kind of the same thing when guys get really hot with the putter. You kind of don't think about a whole lot, just trying to hit your lines and keep going. And that's kind of what I was thinking about. Stroke felt great. Didn't have to think about anything mechanically and just kept going.
What did you take away from last week at Shinnecock?
Yeah, game's in good shape. A week like last week, I felt like I let a couple shots slip away, especially first couple rounds, and maybe even Saturday, Sunday, I put a good solid round together. But it just shows when you get done with these weeks, and I finished +3 and finished 17th, but it's just like a couple shots here and there, and all of a sudden you're right there in the mix. And so I feel like I've had that experience in majors recently in the last 2 years, where I've finished. I've had a lot of top finishes in majors, being like top 20s. But like just to get over the hump a little bit more to where I have a chance to win those, I just need to clean up a few shots here and there. And it's not much, and it's not like I need to do anything physically that much with my game. It's really just like making those important par putts, leaving it on the right side, and staying really locked in the whole way through, because you get done with these weeks and you're like trying to think about how I can save a shot or two there, and you just got to be prepared when Thursday starts. And for me, all these courses that I'm playing on major championship tests, they're all new to me. Like Masters, this was my first year. Shinnecock, had never been there, so like it helps to kind of have that experience of playing the courses. It's hard to play a lot of practice rounds when we have a season as long as the PGA Tour is, to kind of get up there and play some practice rounds early. And it's just the way it is, and I feel like I'll just continue to gain more and more experience. And I know my game's, I can compete out here and win against the best, and there's no reason I can't do it at majors too. It's just a matter of keep getting the reps.
You said a couple of times this year that you're a notoriously slow starter, and sure enough, that happened this year. And obviously, you're on quite a nice roll over the past couple months here. Just curious, like, what's the last thing that usually clicks into place for you that you feel like then you're off and running?
It's a good question. I haven't figured it out. If I did, then I probably wouldn't get off to such a slow start every year on tour on the West Coast. I think it's a lot of it's kind of like what I said, course familiarity. Like a week like this week, I've played the last 4 years, and so coming here, I feel like I don't have to do as much prep work. I have really good energy levels, and I can go out there and feel fresh and rested and ready to go. And for whatever reason, the courses on the West Coast I just struggle with. It's probably because I grew up in North Carolina, spent all of my time in the Southeast, and I go out there and it's just a little bit different, the style of golf and how the rough reacts. And I'm really good at judging, rough on the Southeast, and really good at reading greens over here. And it's just been a little harder over there. And that's just the way it is for some guys. And I'll figure it out one of these years, I'm sure. I mean, another part of it is like if your game's physically really good, you can kind of play on almost any golf course. And I feel like coming out of the offseason, I just haven't been swinging it quite as good. But it was weird because this offseason I was hitting it great going into the year, and then all of a sudden I just kind of had a little bit of a slow start. And it's the way it goes sometimes, and there's so many peaks and valleys in this game, and you don't know when they're going to come. And I'm just really good at kind of trusting the process, I'd say, and not letting the downtimes get to me too much. I'm not afraid to get away from the game for a week or two if I feel like I need to, and just reset and go, because I know my game's good enough, and I just got to keep plugging along.
Did you go to the President's Cup get-together earlier this week? Can you just describe what that was like?
Yeah, it's just good to get the top players all together that have a chance of being on that team as often as possible. Last year was my first ever Ryder Cup. It was my first ever time being in a team environment, even a team dinner. Like, I was always on the outside for some of those dinners the last 2 years. And I felt like those are some of like my best core memories from the Ryder Cup this year, obviously on the golf course, but just like being together in the same room, being in the team van with each other. And I feel like you can't kind of do that enough. And there's obviously been like the rumors about how, the U.S. team needs to find a culture, and there's no doubt we have one, but the more we get together, the closer we all get with each other, and it makes us more prepared when the President's Cup starts or the Ryder Cup starts. So getting together with dinner was great, just hanging out with the guys. It's not like we're talking strategy or anything like that. It's not rocket science, it's golf. In terms of pairings, you can kind of think about who you might want to play with if you have a chance of being on that team, and maybe get closer and get friendly with some guys that you're not sure if you want to play with or not, and try to play some practice rounds with some other guys. Just little ideas like that, but in reality, it was just getting together and having a good time and having a good dinner and just getting familiar and closer with the guys that that maybe haven't been in those dinners, such as myself. Just getting closer with a lot of those guys because when you're playing in a lot of Ryder Cups and President's Cup teams like Justin Thomas or like Jordan Spieth or some of those guys, like they've been in those rooms and they're really close and familiar with each other. It's a lot of new names on tour. You got Bridgman, you got Gotterup, you got Akshay, you got so many guys that are playing really good golf, and it's not like we're all like super close, but the more times we can have dinners like that, it makes us even closer, and it makes us probably more prepared when September comes.
Sned said he was stressing about the message and what he wanted to convey to the team. What was he sharing as the leader of the group?
I don't know why he was stressing. He's such a laid-back, great guy. I mean, and like I said, it's not rocket science, and he knows that. It's not like we're going to go out here and play alternate shot and practice rounds and stuff. Jim Furyk might want to see that. I don't know. But but no, Sned, his message was simple. It's like, you guys just need to be ready for September. Keep playing good golf. He's going to take the best 12 players that he believes is going to, when that time comes to form the team. And all of us as players, our only job is to play really good golf and come in there with a ton of momentum. Kind of similar to last year with the Ryder Cup. It's like you just want to. The only message you can really tell your guys is like, let's keep the pedal down, and when the season stops, like let's not like rest, or I mean rest if you need to, but like just do whatever you need to be prepared. Whether it's get up there early for a practice round and play Medina or whatnot. Just get ready for September if you're going to be on that team, and if you're on the outside looking in right now, keep the pedal down and try to leave the captains with no doubt that you belong on that team. And if you play really well on tour, it takes care of yourself. It takes care of itself. This tour is great with meritocracy, so you play really good golf, you're going to get rewarded, and you're going to get FedEx Cup points, and you're going to move up that President's Cup standings list.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you, bud.